grocery store nowadays can be a very costly item in your budget. I'm gonna share some tips to help you reduce that amount spent at the grocery store so that way you have more money left over every single month to either save or pay down debt or just have fun with, honestly. But over the past year of having bought groceries every month and having a budgeted amount of $180 for groceries for the month in 3 different states, I have some tips for you that might help you stay within budget or even come in below budget with your grocery items. Tip number 1. Your first tip is going to be, please, when you go to the grocery store, you are going to look for real food to buy as compared to the processed stuff, the frozen stuff. All of that type of items cost a lot more money because you're buying maybe 1 pound of chicken, but you're only getting it for like 1 dinner. Whereas for the price that you could almost pay for like 5 extra pounds of chicken or beef or whatever you're talking about. I think this is really crucial because a lot of people are out there buying frozen foods or processed foods, which some of the processed foods are cheaper, yes. But in reality, like a lot of those frozen foods, you're gonna pay way extra, whereas if you just can commit to doing that prep at home, it will be super helpful for your budget if you have the time to do that. Tip number 2 is going to be, if you are buying snacks, aim to go for a cheaper option. Try to make your own snacks or try to find the off-brand of some of the snacks that you usually enjoy. Now this could be hard because sometimes like Doritos, honestly, like they just taste good as Doritos. You don't want to get the Walmart brand of Doritos, you know? If you can find some snacks that you can kind of level down on, that could really help your family save a couple dollars here and there, because honestly, if you look at the price difference, it can be huge. I mean, you look at like snacks that are in bags and they're like $1 or $2 difference. And so if you're buying a lot of snacks, just leveling down a couple dollars could save you a lot on your grocery bill. Tip number 3, look for meats that are cheaper priced. Beef, chicken, those types of meats are gonna be a lot cheaper than your steaks and your pork and everything else. Now, for my family, we go really frugal and we buy 5 pounds of beef for the month. We buy several pounds of chicken, and I do like maybe chicken legs and chicken breasts. So that is what we get for our meat. Now, once in a while, we will go and have a little splurge. We'll get some fish maybe on the side, or we will buy, you know, a little bit more expensive meat like pork or steak and maybe have that meal once a week. So that way we can feel like we can stay on our budget and we're having an occasional fun, different meal than what we usually have or the type of meat that we usually have. So that way we aren't getting burnt out by our budgeting for that. However, it can be really beneficial if you are cutting back and trying to go for the cheaper meats. Now, if you go for the cheaper meats, yes, you are probably going to end up maybe having more processed meat. Like, I'm sure ground beef is way more processed than some of its counterparts. So you do have to take that into consideration. My name is Eliana Keller. I talk about faith, finances, and wifehood, and I would love if you could subscribe if you are enjoying this content, because I am gonna bring you a lot of the things that you're looking for as a homemaker, as a stay-at-home mom, as a woman. I am bringing financial literacy and conversations about marriage and wifehood, along with just homemaking and some faith combos. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, subscribing would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much. Tip number 4 is buy milk in the gallons rather than half gallons. Now, this is more so pertinent if you are a family like me and my husband, where it's just the 2 of us. If you have kids, I am sure you're probably already buying milk in the gallons, if not several gallons, okay? I get it. if it's just you and your husband, or it's just you, I know that buying milk in the gallon is going to be like, oh my goodness, what if I don't finish it on time? A, usually it's fine past its due date just a little bit, and B, you will save more money because it'll last you longer. But once again, if you really are like, I never drink milk, I never use it, I'm only using it for this one baking item that I'm making this week, okay, fine. Like, buy it in the half gallon, like that'll save you some money because you don't usually buy milk. But if you're the type that, like, we drink milk probably every day to get that dairy in us, and buying it at the gallon just makes sense for us. If we bought a bunch of half gallons, we would be paying more money. Tip number 5 is gonna be focus on real foods rather than organic. And I know that this is a controversial opinion, but you guys, not everyone can afford organic. We really can't. It's hard. I mean, I've had so many people like low-key judge me because I'm not buying the organic foods, but at the same time, it's almost, hey, do we want a house one day or to buy organic foods? Your health isn't gonna decrease that much. I mean, maybe it will, but I don't think that your health is gonna decrease incrementally by that much by focusing more on real foods rather than organic. Yes, wash those vegetables when you get them. Don't just leave them out to get all grimy and put that in your food. No. And another tip here, which would be tip number 6, is you can go ahead and try to grow your own food at home so that way you know where it's coming from, you know the source of your food, and that'll kind of help you get a little bit of organic vegetables and organic fruits and veggies in that you might not have been able to before, but it's helping you get that in. If you can grow your own and then can it, or just save it up for the winter, whatever you need to do, that can also help you save money, and it can help you kind of try to eat organically even when you are focusing more on those real foods. Tip number 7 is going to be buy your eggs at a large scale. Now, if you buy your eggs at a local farmer's market or some sort of local farmer, or you have your own chickens, this isn't really pertinent for you because you're already kind of doing this. But if you just have to go to the grocery store and get your eggs, a huge tip I have for you is if you can buy them in bulk, it is way freaking cheaper. Like, you only pay a couple extra dollars, at least my husband and I, we only pay a couple extra dollars to get 60 eggs. I think it's like $6 for 60 eggs. And it's like $3 for almost 12 or 18 or something. That is crazy. We get so many more eggs. We get our eggs for the whole entire month. I mean, you guys, just do this. It will help you so much. And eggs really don't go bad within the month as long as they're in the fridge. So if you have the fridge space, go ahead, slip that whole box of eggs in there. And I know that it can take up a lot of fridge space, but if you can really utilize your space well, it's very helpful and has saved us a lot of money, and I'm sure it can save you guys money as well. Tip number 8, when you go to the grocery store, have a grocery list in mind. This is really important because if you are hungry, or if you're wanting something more, or you're just in general irritable, or any sort of mood besides a very normal, stable mood, you're gonna buy more than what you really would have otherwise. So by going to the grocery store with a list in mind, you are gonna be able to save more money because you know, okay, this is what's on the list, this is what we're buying for the month. Tip number 9 is make a monthly haul. So making a monthly haul and then maybe having a couple extra hauls in between just for like, okay, we need to maybe pick up some milk or get our bread for the week, etc., etc. That monthly haul is going to help you really maximize your money because you are going to be able to buy in bulk. I have bought like potatoes in bulk and rice in bulk, and honestly, we don't even finish it out through the month, and sometimes it can even last us up to 2 months. So when we make that monthly haul, because we can buy in bulk, it lasts us so much longer, and a lot of times it is a lot cheaper. So buying in bulk is really, really key to making it through the month, honestly, just helping you decrease. Now, obviously, some stuff needs to be bought on more of a bi-weekly basis, but try to buy on a weekly basis at minimum, no more than that, because otherwise you're going to end up spending more money. Tip number 10 is to meal prep. I know that you've heard this, and sometimes it can seem so overwhelming if you meal prep. Now, I don't do this every single month to meal prep every single item, but what I will do is when I do shop for the month, I have kind of these baseline things that I know that we're gonna need for all the different types of meals that I've selected, and whether that's saved on my phone or have in my list on one of my cookbooks. So when I'm going to the grocery store, I know, okay, these are my baseline things that I need to buy every single month. This is gonna be my monthly haul, and then there's gonna be a little bit left over for me to kind of work alongside and maybe just focus more on meal prepping for the week and then getting those extra items for each individual week. So that's gonna help you save money. And plus, when you meal prep, you kind of know generically your measurements a little bit more specifically. What we do is we focus on having grains, having meat in our meal, and then having our vegetables. And so I focus on those 3 things to be sure to get our meals to a healthy level, but also an affordable level. I hope that you're enjoying this content and getting a lot of valuable advice. If you are, go ahead and click that like button. It really helps to get this content out to more people who can then see it, and it really also helps me continue to grow my YouTube channel and spread to more people so that way they can get these tips as well. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Tip 11. So for 11, I'm just gonna say we just buy like a pound of sausage for breakfasts. We get about 2 pounds a month, and then I'll make some big sausage gravy, and we try to ration it throughout the month. And so at every breakfast, there's not always going to be a meat, but we do have those eggs, the 60-pack of eggs, to kind of supplement that protein. And so if you can find a way to not utilize meat in your breakfasts, you're gonna actually end up better, and then add maybe some more eggs to get that protein. Also, I think whenever we buy our sausage, we buy it in like a pound, and it's way cheaper than buying it pre-cut or pre-anything, and then you can take it and maybe put an egg in it and then pat it up, make sausage patties, roll it up, make sausage rolls. Now they're not obviously going to taste exactly the same because they don't have that casing and everything, but it's gonna really help out your budget a little bit, and it should taste fairly similar, so that should obviously be a little bit helpful. Tip number 12 is gonna be a little bit controversial because you people who are eating protein and wanting that protein, I know you're gonna hate this, but if you have a recipe and it says 1.5 pounds of meat, I'm going to say what I do, honestly, please don't hate me for this, but I will use about 3/4 of the meat that they require in the recipe. Or if it says, like, I try to use 3/4 of a pound of whatever meat there is per recipe, which, trust me, I know that's gonna be a little bit crazy for some people, but honestly, like, if you're doing that, we save so much money on meat from doing that. When I was in Virginia, we only had a mini fridge, so we had to buy food every 2 weeks instead of once a month. We really struggled to stay within budget every single month, and those were months where we spent closer to $200 to $220 on our food because I couldn't prep it out as much, and you would have to then buy a whole nother item for that other 2-week haul. So it was a little bit harder during that time when I did not have the fridge space to be able to stay within budget for the month because I couldn't do that one big monthly haul. So you have to kind of get creative, but I mean, paring that meat down in the recipes is really going to help you pay less for meat, and that's how I literally am able to buy 5 pounds of beef. We also have 2 pounds of sausage, and then like a container of chicken breasts, which has like 6 or 7 of those chicken breasts in there, and then a bag of chicken drumsticks, which the chicken drumsticks are super cheap. I highly recommend going for those ones. Tip 13, don't buy the stuff that you don't have to buy. Sometimes I actually will supplement different types of cheeses than the recipes ask for because I'm like, no, we're buying, you know, these 2 types of cheeses, and then we're just gonna have to use these in our recipes. So if you don't need to buy like 10 different types of cheeses, that's gonna really help out your budget because you can buy them more in bulk and obviously get that cheaper, bigger bulk price rather than buying a ton of small cheeses. That works really well for us. And if you can buy cheese by the block, that's another extra tip that works really well, and then rate it yourself. Tip number 14 is buy meat with the bones on. When the bones are on, you will pay so much less, guys, so much less. I really hope you do this, and it takes more time when you're cooking. Like for instance, right now, I'm defrosting a whole big bag of 5 pounds of chicken drumsticks, and I am going to have to then boil the chicken drumsticks, and then I'm going to have to tear all the meat off the bone, and then I am going to have to then make the meal that I want to make for tonight in addition to all of those steps. So yes, it does take more time, but it can be done, and I know that it's difficult, but if you put in the effort, you really can save a bunch of money doing that, and that's why I highly suggest that. Tip 15. Tip 15 is buy your fruits and veggies on opposite weeks or opposite bye weeks. So have like a group of veggies like XXXXX that you're going to buy on one specific week, and then the next week, or if you're doing a bi-weekly schedule, on the next bye week, get a group of veggies that you're gonna do Y. This will help give you a little bit of differences in the types of veggies you're getting, but at the same time, you can kind of overlay the two. So when you buy X amount, you know, the X veggies and fruits, you can have them for that week, and then they'll hopefully last part of the next week, the freshness of them, and then on that week, you'll buy Y veggies and fruits, and so you'll have the Y veggies and fruits primarily, but then you can also supplement with those X veggies and fruits, if you understand what I mean there. As I was editing this YouTube video, I thought of another super quick tip, and that is, it won't save you like millions of dollars or anything, or thousands or hundreds, and nothing like that, but when you're grocery shopping, if you scan your receipts on an app, sometimes you'll get points. I was using the Fetch Rewards app, but you got so few points, it was like 0.25 cents. Basically, of what you got, and they only let you redeem it for gift cards. So I recently found this new app called Ibotta or Ibotta. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it actually allows you to get like up to 10 to 25 cents per receipt. It just changes, honestly, depending on what their offers are, but they also have offers for like generic things that you might buy as well to like get like cash back on those items. So that has been super helpful for me because I just come home, I scan the receipt. Like I usually don't select the offers because I don't use them. Like I don't pay for the branded items. But if you scan your receipt, it's an extra 10 to 25 cents that you're getting, so might as well get that extra 10 to 25 cents. So right now I've got $7 in my Ibotta account. So I will leave the link to Ibotta below and then give you a referral code that I have for that app because you'll get $5 once you scan your first receipt. Whew, it's hot, guys. It is so hot. I don't know why I do this in the afternoon because it's always so hot now. Okay, 15, 16, 17. 17. Tip number 17, and this one is going to be a little bit controversial. I don't know if everyone can do it, but focus less on snacks and more on meals. And so if you can focus more on getting the food that you need for your meals and less money put towards snacks, you will A, better be probably a little bit more healthy with your family, but also B, snacks can get very expensive very quickly. And if you're buying tons and tons and tons of snacks, that can be very costly. Whereas if you're focusing your money into more of your food groups and your main meals, you might be able to have more hearty main meals and with leftovers and like everything like that, but then you're not missing out on, you know, some food, and you might be able to warm that up or whatever and focus less on those snacks. Tip number 18 is gonna be buy canned fruits and veggies. And I know that before I was talking about fresh veggies, fresh fruits, all of that type of thing, but if you can try to supplement with canned or frozen veggies, those are really gonna help you keep your costs down for the month. So if you are planning any sort of casseroles, go ahead and get those canned veggies. Once in a while, I'll throw in some canned veggies with our normal food, and so that will be our veggie side instead of having something a little bit more fresh like salad or green beans. I know that this can be pretty tough sometimes for some people, but it can really help you with your budget, and honestly, it has really helped us with our budget. Tip 19 is sandwiches for lunch. I know you guys maybe don't like that, but if you guys can focus on having sandwiches for your lunches with some supplements, maybe like a couple of green beans, a fruit, a veggie, etc. That is really going to help save you. So getting that tuna, you can even like boil some of your chicken and put that in the sandwiches and kind of store that in the fridge. But whatever you're doing, if you're not eating those leftovers every single day for lunch, then you have those leftovers at the end of the week or every so often to be able to have leftover meals every single week, which is going to save you a whole day of meal planning. My husband and I have 2 days where we eat leftovers, and it is sometimes a little bit tough, especially for my husband who likes variety in his meals. But having those 2 nights of leftovers, A, you're not having to cook, and then B, also you feel a little bit more free with your finances because you aren't having to make meals for those 2 days, so you don't have to have the meat for those meals and the potatoes for those meals and the rice and the etc, etc, etc. You get the deal. Tip 20. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you guys, do what works best for you. If you cannot stay within budget by following some of those tips that I've listed before, don't do it. Like if you know in the middle of the week you're gonna go out for a grocery haul and try to get some of the nicer things and the snacks and the blah 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 blah, don't do it, you guys. Just don't. It's not going to be helpful for you if you can't implement this system or these tips. So if there's some tips that you feel like, okay, our family can't do that, don't focus on those ones. Focus on the ones that you can attack right now. And maybe eventually you're able to bring yourself to following all of those tips. But for now, focus on the ones that you believe you can genuinely follow through on, so that way your family doesn't have to suffer or doesn't go from eating, the most extravagant meals to eating nothing. Not that we don't eat anything, but it can be a big adjustment. So I would highly recommend kind of making that a slow process into the budgeting, and maybe even trying to figure out ways that you can then in the future increase your food budget, because that's something that people really enjoy, is sitting around the dinner table and enjoying their food. And while these tips are great to help you budget, it can be a little bit sad if you don't have like the fun food that you're used to, or something extra at times. So be sure to implement the tips that you think your family can do, and then slowly maybe build that back up, so that way you can say, okay, great, like now we have a little bit more flexibility in our food budget. And that is what me and my husband are doing. We right now are on a very tight food budget. We have committed to living on a very frugal, tight budget for the first couple of years of our marriage, so that way we can live much more free, much more extravagant the rest of our marriage when we, Lord willing, have children, and when we'll be inviting people over to our house more often. We won't be moving as much, and so we definitely wanted to have more freedom later on, and part of doing that is living very frugally now, so that way we can save and pay off debt for this season, so that way in the future we don't have to worry as much about every single little thing that we're budgeting for. We can kind of have a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more freedom, and ultimately that is the ultimate goal, is to get more freedom in your budget. So if you can somehow implement these frugal tips to help you get to a better financial situation later, so that way you can then free up your resources a bit more, that can be a very great goal to look for, and something that will help you focus into the future and really help you stay consistent with that budget.